ABC 10 News at 5 starts right now.
Coronavirus vaccines in San Diego County are going to be delayed again, this time because of bad weather in other parts of the U.S. How this latest setback will affect our rollout. Plus, the immediate action some health experts from San Diego want the Biden administration to take to limit the airborne transmission of the virus. And the pandemic has rewritten the syllabus for the current school year. In a story that's positively San Diego, how the Teacher of the Year is defying so many challenges.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
The winter freeze across much of the United States is going to cause a slowdown at vaccination sites across San Diego County. Good evening, I'm Lindsay Pena.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. The county made that announcement just a couple of hours ago, saying that we could see vaccination sites shut down as early as tomorrow. Petco Park did reopen this morning after a shipment problem last week. County officials say that there are nearly 53,000 vaccines that were expected. They are now delayed. That number does include part of the Moderna shipment that was delayed last week.
Last week, we literally begged, borrowed, and stole vaccines to keep as much of our system and structure in place as running. And a second set of delays is going to have very significant impacts on our system.
Moderna's facility is in Michigan, Pfizer's is in Massachusetts. Both states, of course, have been heavily impacted by that winter weather. Despite the immediate concerns of supply, the county is confident it will expand to the next tier for vaccinations the first week of March. That includes teachers, food and agricultural workers, and law enforcement. Then on March the 15th, people ages 16 to 64 with certain health conditions will also be eligible. Our ABC 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala takes an in-depth look at how the county is preparing for these rapid changes.
People my age that have underlying health conditions, most of them are still working.
According to the California Department of Public Health, starting March 15th, healthcare providers will be able to offer the COVID-19 vaccine to people between the ages of 16 and 64 with serious and specific underlying health conditions, including cancer, chronic kidney disease that's stage 4 or above, chronic pulmonary disease must be oxygen dependent, Down syndrome, immunocompromised state from solid organ transplant, pregnancy, sickle cell disease, certain heart conditions such as heart failure but excluding hypertension, severe obesity, and type 2 diabetes. People with developmental or other severe high-risk disabilities may also be qualified. But is San Diego County prepared for this next group?
I think the plan is, March 15th, that we would, again, it's all dependent upon supply of vaccines in terms of how many appointments are there. But I think that there is a great value in adding.
Supervisor Nathan Fletcher says March 1st, the county plans to be able to open vaccinations to the first group of essential workers like teachers and police officers. Then, by March 15th, people with qualifying medical conditions listed by the state can go next. Fletcher did say it would be easier for people to go through their healthcare providers who have access to their medical records, but those who don't have a provider can go through a county site.
I want to stick around for a while.
Lauren Gillihan isn't currently eligible to get a COVID-19 vaccine. She's been worried, locked down at home for nearly a year. And unfortunately, seeing the list of qualified health conditions didn't provide much comfort as her condition was left out.
I have lupus and something called antiphospholipid syndrome. It could be deadly for me if I get COVID.
Her husband has type 2 diabetes, so he may be qualified come March 15th.
How quickly you move through all those is dependent upon the supply.
The California Department of Public Health tells me it's continuing to work with the federal government to increase the state's vaccine supply, but ultimately there are limits to how much vaccine can be manufactured at this point. A spokesperson for Kaiser says while the state's expansion to this next group makes sense, without a significant increase in the vaccine supply from the federal government, it could take months to vaccinate this new population.
I want to hug my kids and see my kids and live life again.
Mimi Alcala, ABC 10 News.
Both Sharp and Palomar Health said that they are awaiting county guidance for this next group. We did not immediately hear back from Scripps Health. As of today, more than 473,000 people in San Diego County have been vaccinated for COVID-19. More than 135,000 have been fully vaccinated, meaning 5% of the local population has received both shots. And we know that there are still a lot of questions and different experiences with the vaccine rollout. Our ABC 10 News in-depth team is committed to tracking down answers and sharing your stories. So just send us an email to tips@10news.com.
A group of scientists is urging the Biden administration to update the CDC guidelines on COVID-19. Two of the scholars from UC San Diego say the agency needs to recognize that aerosol particles are the primary source of transmission. They tell ABC 10 News reporter Rena Nakano the government needs to catch up to the science.
We wrote this letter to put inhalation front and center.
In a letter to the Biden administration, these scientists say the government must immediately update COVID-19 regulations for people in the workplace. It all starts with acknowledging that the spread of COVID is happening at the microscopic level. Currently, the CDC's website shows that COVID-19 spreads most commonly during close contact through larger respiratory droplets. If you scroll down, it says it can sometimes be spread by airborne transmission. These scientists say it's much more prevalent than that.
Inhaling these small particles is a major way that people are infected.
They're asking the administration to mirror Germany, Australia, and France's new policies that mandate the use of N95 masks to all healthcare workers, not just those in the COVID unit, as well as high-risk workers in confined spaces, such as bus drivers and food processing workers.
Workers are not being offered the kind of protection they need.
They're also urging the government to update OSHA workplace standards on ventilators, respirators, and masks, then use the Defense Production Act to organize a national production and distribution network, and for the public to create a clear face covering standard.
Filterability, wearability, and fit, that the public will be able to judge the quality of the mask they're buying.
UCSD professor Kim Prather says the government needs to act now.
Why aren't you using this? Their answer is we are following the CDC guidelines and they are not adequate right now. And so that's not okay. If we really want to end this pandemic, we have to acknowledge that this virus is spreading through the air, or we are just going to keep yo-yoing back and forth.
Rena Nakano, ABC 10 News.
When asked about double masking, these scientists said it's most important to find one well-fitted mask that has low breathing resistance and high filtration efficiency. And here are the latest coronavirus numbers in our county. 57 more deaths were reported, bringing that total to just under 3,100. And there were 539 new cases, bringing that total to more than 254,000. Cases of COVID-19 are also dropping in many parts of the country, but the head of the CDC also has a warning.
While cases and hospitalizations continue to move in the right direction, we remain in the midst of a very serious pandemic. And the continued spread of variants that are more transmissible could jeopardize the progress we have made.
Data has suggested the UK variant of COVID-19, which is more contagious, could become the predominant variant in the U.S. next month. The state is offering new help for people and businesses hit hard by the pandemic. Today, Governor Newsom announced a new deal with lawmakers. They call it the Golden State Stimulus. It includes $2 billion for grants to small businesses and nonprofits. Restaurants, bars, haircutting, and cosmetology businesses will get fee relief. And there would be $600 checks for low-income Californians who get the Earned Income Tax Credit. The legislature could begin voting on that stimulus next week. And you can follow any developments surrounding the pandemic by downloading our free mobile app. Just go to the App Store and search 10 News.
There are growing concerns about whether a weekend attack on a deputy by two inmates at the Vista jail could have been prevented. Our ABC 10 News investigative reporter Jennifer Castor discovered the jail cell had not been updated with additional security measures. We do have a warning. This story does have a graphic image.
The Sheriff's Department confirmed that the attack happened when the deputy tried to open the entire cell door, not just a small port or a window to pass along a food tray. Wednesday, new details about the Vista jail where Sheriff's Deputy Michael Cacioppo was assaulted Saturday, leaving him with a black eye, bloodied bandages wrapped around his head, and a neck brace. This generic video of the jail was provided to us by the Sheriff's Department. The Vista jail is the oldest in the county, with housing modules that act as access points to get to rooms full of cells. ABC 10 News learned Wednesday that while module doors have ports built in to slide items through, not all of the cell doors have been updated with built-in ports. This is a photo of the exact cell door at the jail where the attack happened, according to the department. Notice that there is no small delivery port built into it. That means that the whole door must be open, which is what the department confirms happened last weekend. The deputy was apparently escorting a nurse when an inmate asked him to pass a food tray to other inmates next door. The deputy reportedly opened the entire cell door to pass the tray when 2 inmates rushed him, repeatedly punching and kicking him. The department confirmed that there have been plans to retrofit additional cells with ports, but a spokesperson would not say when that is supposed to happen. Before the pandemic, we're told that deliveries were made through the ports at the front module doors, but now, in order to minimize contact between inmates who are in the same module, items are delivered directly to cells. The sheriff's department declined my request for an interview. The deputy who was injured is apparently at home recovering. Jennifer Kastner, ABC 10 News.
A winter storm continues to pummel most of the country. The South and Midwest got hit with a second storm today, and the Northeast is bracing for more snow tomorrow. Millions of people are also without power. And as ABC's Rena Roy reports, most of them are in Texas.
The lights are out, the heat is off, and the ice is thick. Record-breaking cold and snow wreaking havoc on Texas. The roof collapsing at this Houston home after the pipes froze, then burst. In Dallas, icicles hanging from this apartment ceiling fan. More than 3 million homes and businesses in the Lone Star State without power.
This is tragic. It hadn't had power since 5 a.m. yesterday.
You'll see a blanket here and blue Scotch tape. We're doing anything possible to keep the heat in. In this room in our house, it is 33 degrees.
The state's electrical system's overwhelmed, causing outages and rolling blackouts. Houston under a boil water advisory.
We've been without power since Sunday night about 1 a.m. We need water. We need power. We got kids. How can we boil water? We don't even have power.
And now another storm is expected to hit the Midwest and the South.
We're still in this winter storm period. Please be patient. Power will not be restored fully, I would say, probably for another couple of days.
Oklahoma City recorded its coldest temperature in more than a century Tuesday, -14 degrees. Cars spinning out in intersections, city buses, and even an 18-wheeler stuck in the wintry mess. The Salt Lake area mountains in Utah now under a rare warning for extreme avalanche danger after up to 60 inches of snow fell in parts of the state over the last 48 hours.
And here in the Northeast, we are also expecting a winter storm. Some areas could see nearly a foot of snow, and others, like Washington, D.C., are expecting a messy, icy mix. In New York City, Rena Roy, ABC News.
Conservative talk radio host Rush Limbaugh has died at the age of 70. Limbaugh's wife made that announcement on his radio show today. He'd been battling stage 4 lung cancer since last February. The day after his cancer announcement, former President Trump awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Limbaugh began his nationally syndicated conservative political radio show back in 1988. His politics made him a polarizing media figure that also garnered him millions of loyal listeners. Earlier today, San Diego's lone GOP Congressman Darrell Issa sent out a statement saying, quote, "The conservative movement has lost one of its most treasured and happy warriors, and we have lost a brave and generous friend like no other."